Most sellers in Denver waste money fixing the wrong things before they list. Some upgrades feel smart, but they actually cost you time, leverage, and profit. Today I'm breaking down what not to fix before selling your Denver home, where sellers overspend every year, and what actually moves the needle in this market. I'm Landon, a local Denver realtor, and I help sellers protect their equity and avoid spending money that doesn't come back at closing. Before you start tearing things out or calling contractors, let's clear up the biggest misconceptions sellers have. I get so many questions that sellers think that buyers want. And some of the biggest things that sellers think that buyers want that's super important to them is like a whole kitchen remodel or an entire primary bathroom remodel. I also get a lot of sellers, especially those that are more on the math and science career types, that will ask me like, it's got to be furnace, right? We've got to do furnace, windows, like all of those things. And they'll spend $60,000, $80,000 on those types of upgrades, and unfortunately get very little in return. So today we're going to talk about some of that stuff. And a lot of those homeowners think that move-in ready means that everything mechanically is tip-top shape, new, perfect. And it doesn't really mean that. It's the experience buyers have and what they care about, right? When they first come up to the house, does it look kind of dingy, or is curb appeal really good? And as you walk in, does it continue to feel good? And a lot of buyers just focus on their emotions when they're going through the house. Does this feel right? Does this feel like a place that I could live in? Or does it feel like somebody else's house because I see too much clutter, I see too much personalization from other people? Right, so move-in ready, a lot of that's just preparation. It's not as much, having to fix every little thing in your house that's wrong with it. Keep in mind that buyers are more payment sensitive than ever right now. They care more about price, layout, location, and monthly payment than perfection. Most buyers do plan on changing a lot of things to cater to what they want, but a lot of times they don't have a ton of money to do that everywhere. So you have to hit the areas that really have the most impact. But if you're thinking you have to do everything, over improving, it doesn't really push your value past what the comps will allow. Most sellers believe buyers want brand new everything, zero imperfections, in a home that feels untouched. They ask themselves, can I afford this comfortably, and does it work for my life? They're not asking, did the seller replace every surface in this house? And buyers don't pay extra for work that they didn't choose, especially when that work pushes the home outside of what the market or the appraisal will support based on the comparable homes that have sold around it. Once you understand that, it becomes a lot easier to see why certain fixes actually work against you. So a lot of sellers think that kitchens period, adds a ton of value, right? And a kitchen is a very important space inside your home. When you're blowing up walls and you're doing a complete kitchen remodel, it could mean $80,000 in a house nowadays, realistically. And most of the time, you'll get back about $65,000 to $70,000 on $80,000 spent on a project like that. The market does appreciate that sort of thing, but again, you have to look at the comps. You have to look at, is it realistic that your home could sell at that price if it was completely remodeled? And is that money going to come back to you? And most of the time it doesn't. 100%, it doesn't come back at 100%. It typically comes back at about 75 to 85% based on how good of a job you do on that full remodel. And remodels absolutely raise appraisals. But again, it's not a ×2 or ×3 number on that stuff. However, there are small things that you can do, little focused areas within a kitchen that will raise your value. And I'm seeing right now, quartz countertops are so popular. If you put quartz in on your kitchen, that slab alone, you put that in for $7,500, you'll make $15,000 back in the market. You'll double your money, which is pretty cool. And then appliances, that's always been a double your money item. The appliances are like the jewelry of your kitchen. So, and the functionality of your kitchen, right? It's what you use to cook, to, keep your stuff cold, everything. So I think that appliances are huge. And if you spend $3,000 to $4,000 on an appliance package, you're going to get that back twofold. And that includes the luxury market, where if you're spending $15,000 to $20,000, you're going to get $30,000 to $40,000 back on those appliances. Also, another one that is a common misconception is sellers think that cabinets are going to greatly improve their property value. And the truth is, cabinets are expensive. Sometimes you can spend, $10,000 to $25,000 or more on cabinets, depending on what you choose. And most of the time that doesn't all come back to you. But oftentimes in this market, because it's still in style, painting cabinets, especially a light color, will bring that value back. I had an interesting situation here recently. I had a homeowner reach out, and they had just painted their cabinets green because their listing agent had coached them to do that. And around those green cabinets, they had earth tones everywhere. So they had like a taupe countertop. They had a backsplash that was like a Tuscany tile. And then they had dark taupe paint everywhere around them. The challenge with that is if you go very niche with your cabinet color, which colored cabinets are kind of cool right now. I've seen navy, I've seen like a forest green that really works and pops with the new age brass handles and stuff. Those can be kind of cool, but if everything around it is dated, it's not going to be cool. And the market's just going to think it's kind of weird looking. And they're going to think, what was the seller thinking in this situation? And so keep in mind, things look completely different when they have white quartz and alabaster paint. And, then you can have some fun. You can take some more gambles, some more risks. But if your home is dated like 1990 or the early 2000s, then be very, very safe as far as what you're doing with your cabinet color. I'd go white. White's the best way to go there. And if you go with something too niche or too drastic, you're going to attract a very small segment of the market. But what I've seen is when cabinets are painted the right way, and a nice quality job too, you don't want to hire that painter or DIY the project and then have like drip lines all over your cabinets and they just look terrible. So it's got to be done the right way. But when that's done properly, I've seen that triple your money. So you spend $3,000 to $4,000 painting cabinets, you'll get 10 back. Which is a great boost to the market. The moment you start moving everything around, your island, reconfiguring things, countertop, let's put in a built-in pantry, let's take this wall out, let's move the range over here, all of that stuff, that's when you start to see a little bit of a reverse effect where it's costing you more than what you're actually going to get out of the market in most cases. Some neighborhoods will allow for that, and there's exceptions to every rule. But in this case, you got to be careful if you're in a neighborhood that doesn't allow for that kind of value jump. Also, understand if you're doing a major kitchen renovation, it could take months. There's a lot of complication that goes to moving everything around. And so oftentimes contractors need coordination between all their subs, and it just takes a while. If one of those is delayed, or if cabinets end up being back ordered or delayed, it can cost you a lot of time on market, and you may skip the best selling season of the year. Kitchens are emotional for sellers. You live in the space every day, so you notice every outdated cabinet and countertop. That's why sellers feel pressure to remodel. But the market doesn't pay based on effort or intention. It pays based on comparable sales data. And so if the neighborhood doesn't support a higher price, a new kitchen doesn't change that reality. You're building your dream kitchen for somebody else, hoping they love your taste enough to pay more for it. And most buyers simply don't. This is one of those decisions where running the numbers matters more than gut instinct. If you're unsure whether a remodel actually makes sense for your neighborhood, that's a conversation that I'm happy to walk through with you. So feel free to reach out on this number on the screen, and I'm happy to schedule a walkthrough so that we can do just that. And bathrooms fall into the exact same trap. Some people overdo their bathroom space and go overboard on elegance, right? And what buyers want is a simple, clean, modern look most times in bathrooms. But the same rule applies as major kitchen remodels. If you do a primary bathroom remodel that's done very well, you may get 85% back on what you spent on it. If you do a secondary bathroom, meaning your hallway bathroom, half bath, and it's a complete remodel, oftentimes you'll get about 75% of what you spend on it. So those bathroom remodels aren't all that they're hyped up to be. But focused efforts in the bathroom space, flooring, lighting, and vanities, or maybe even just countertops or painting cabinets again, those are the areas that really pay you back. Again, the minute you start moving things around, shower bases, taking out your tub, putting in a freestanding tub, doing all kinds of stuff. If you're paying for that labor for somebody else to do all that for you, the cost is going to go up astronomically, and you're not going to get that back in the market, unfortunately. Also, these can be time consuming. And again, when you're moving stuff around, that's what adds to the time frame and the cost. Buyers don't walk away because a bathroom isn't luxury. They walk away when something feels neglected, broken, or poorly maintained. If the bathroom is clean, functional, and doesn't raise red flags, you're already meeting expectations. Spending tens of thousands of dollars to chase a spa-like look rarely increases your sale price. What it does increase is your timeline, your stress, and the chance you miss the best-selling window of the year. Floors are another area where buyers overspend fast. Floors are actually a great way to improve your house, and they are one of those emotional items. A lot of people still think that hardwood floors are all that matters right now, and that saying that on the listing sheet will help you somehow. And really, a lot of people are really into the LVPs at the moment, which are luxury vinyl plank flooring. And it's a flooring that's water resistant, in many cases waterproof. It handles, kids' water when they drip, when they're getting water out of the fridge and there's little drips or ice falls out, and you got that stuff happens. It rarely warps. It's very strong and holds up well. And that kind of flooring can give you 3 times your money return because it's about the cost of carpet. And so between $4 to $6 a square foot, depending on the quality. And that's the install price. Also, carpet is a great investment. If your carpet looks tired and it's worn, then I would absolutely recommend replacing your carpet so that it smells like a fresh new house. When your house smells like new construction with new carpet, new paint, those are some of the things that buyers love because it's an emotional drawing feature to a home that they'll pay more money for. But you don't necessarily have to go with the highest upgraded materials. If you're in a very luxury market, then you may have to reconsider that and think more along those luxury lines. But I've seen $2-3 million houses use LVP flooring recently that are brand new homes. And so it seems like a lot of builders are trending towards that at the moment. I've watched sellers install brand new, expensive hardwood floors, outdated tile floors, and even cork floors before, thinking that it would get them a huge return on investment and the buyers would love it, only to find that it was very niche what they did, and that the buyers tended to pass on those and think that they have to rip them out and replace them right after closing. And so don't let that be you. Flooring is an emotional upgrade, and it's money that you will get back ×3 if you do it the right way. But stick to the materials that are going to pay you back, like LVP, the luxury vinyl plank is fantastic, and carpets that are tasteful and up to speed with styles of today. Those are the things that will tend to make you money, and absolutely good looking tile. You can have some fun with tile now with hex patterns, with chevrons, herringbone patterns, subway patterns, elongated tiles. There's a lot of cool things you can do. I love going through Floor & Decor and other places like that and just seeing, all the different colorful tile options that you can have out there. And that's one great way to spruce up a bathroom or a backsplash around your fireplace, and add some color and add some value to your house. But you don't want to do the most expensive hardwood floors or anything square tiles. Stay away from right now if you want to make the most amount of money on your home. Outside projects can be even more deceptive. So everybody thinks that in Colorado, every buyer is going to want an outdoor entertainment area where they can hang out, and even the outdoor grills, right, were a big thing about 10 years ago. And those are slowly fading out of popularity, you guys. We're seeing less buyers want to pay for those. They want them, they enjoy them, it's cool to have, but it's not something that in this affordability market, buyers are just, ready to pay a higher price and a higher offer for in most cases, unless it's just a niche buyer that is absolutely what they're after. They want to cook outside all the time and barbecue, and that's their thing. Most people are making affordability choices right now when it comes to that stuff. And so you can spend a fortune outside in your yard with landscapers, and I can't believe some of the prices that I've seen for exterior designers and landscapers that go all out. And they do a great job with their work, but some of the prices I've seen people pay, $80,000 to $200,000 on stonework and built-in grills and fire pits and stamped concrete and all kinds of stuff. And the truth is, buyers, what they want is they want a space that they can hang out and have friends over and have some privacy. And so having trees, having some shrubbery back there is a good idea, but you don't have to go crazy with flat work and stone and all these other things that are just overdone. And it creates even higher maintenance in some cases. Sellers often confuse curb appeal with perfection. Buyers don't need a designer landscaping or magazine-worthy yard. What they're really asking is, Is this going to be expensive or difficult to maintain? Overdone landscaping can actually create hesitation instead of excitement. Simple, clean, and manageable outdoor spaces feel safer to buyers than elaborate designs that look like future work. This next one is where sellers accidentally shrink their buying pool. Some homeowners have very niche, distinct tastes, and they personalize so much in their house that their buying pool shrinks a ton. And so what I'm talking about is maybe you're someone who loves like a countertop that's super unique and exotic, right? And I've seen some granites and different things out there, that soapstones, even limestones that are very unique. But guess what? They're really dark and the market likes light right now. And so just based on a color, even though it could be the most expensive, unique, cool counter, to some, it may be way too exotic and busy for others, where simplicity rules right now. Same thing with window coverings and drapes. You might, just absolutely deck your windows out with quarter shades and all kinds of stuff that you think is really nice and cool. But buyers, what they like is clean, fresh, open-looking windows and blinds where you need them, or maybe a drapery where you need it. But for the most part, we don't need shears, blinds, drapes, and all of the above in this market. Simplicity on windows is kind of the answer right now. And so, again, I've seen exotic acacia, Brazilian hardwoods, that are very busy and with all kinds of patterns, and it's a beautiful hardwood, but it may be a little too niche for some buyers. Other examples of that is I've seen bedazzled bathrooms, with just like diamond looking light fixtures, all throughout, and even on like door handles and like backgrounds to light switches. You've got like gems everywhere throughout the house. The bedazzled homes may fit your taste, but it might not be everybody's taste. The other thing that may be cool to you, but not to the majority of the market, is like stencils all over your house. It might be great. The faux paint that was in the early 2000s, that hasn't returned. Just so you know, there are some wallpapers that can be tasteful, but if you're going wallpaper crazy, you might be too niche for some buyers in this market. If you like junipers, you might be creating just an awful briar patch for your buyers that think that's way too busy and way too much, overdoing your landscaping. So these are just a few examples of things you can do to over niche or overdo your house to your customization and style, where the majority of the market's not going to be too happy about that. The more specific your taste, the fewer buyers see themselves in the home. They think it's a great home for somebody else. What feels intentional and meaningful to you can feel limiting to somebody else. Bold colors, custom built-ins, and niche design choices force buyers to think about undoing your decisions instead of imagining their life there. Neutral spaces invite buyers in. Personal spaces quietly push them away. If you're enjoying this and finding it helpful, don't forget to follow. I break down this kind of stuff all the time so sellers don't make expensive mistakes before they list. So if you're not supposed to fix everything, what actually matters? So some of the things you should absolutely do in your listing prep. Deep cleaning, number one, most important thing you can do. Decluttering, also incredibly important so that emotional appeal is there. Neutral paint throughout your house. And I love like doji white is a great color. Alabaster is a great color right now. There's some of the greatest colors of the year from 2025 that are still very in as far as that goes. And they're usually off-white creams that do really well. Okay. Smart flooring upgrades. We're talking LVP and decently priced carpet. That's like a mid-grade, don't have to break the bank, but carpet that feels and smells fresh. Lighting updates that are well done. We're talking black and glass, or maybe a little hints of new age brass, not the old stuff, is a good fit. And then aside from that, door hardware, handles, hinges, those are really good things to focus on and do. Refinishing hardwood floors, if they look tired and they're stained or weathered, those are really good areas to attack. And if you're doing that, please stain it raw or white oak finish. I wouldn't go dark. Going really dark right now is probably not the answer. Everybody's loving that light look. The homes that sell best aren't the most upgraded. Remember that. They're the ones that feel cared for. Clean beats custom every time. Neutral beats new sometimes. When buyers walk into a home, it feels clean, simple, and well-maintained. They feel confident. Confidence is what creates offers, not expensive finishes sometimes. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. I worked with a seller who wanted to renovate everything before listing. and they were prepared to spend $40,000 on a kitchen, replace floors, and delay their sales price by at least 2 months. And when we ran the numbers, it became clear that the upgrades wouldn't raise the price enough to justify the cost or wait. And instead, we listed sooner, priced correctly, and used concessions strategically. The home sold faster, negotiations stayed smooth, and the seller walked away with more money and far less stress. And this strategy matters even more in Denver right now. Keep in mind that with prices as elevated as they are in our Denver market, with our average single family price being $790,000 right now, and your average condo townhome being around $450,000, buyers are payment driven. Okay, so budget is really the way to go. You don't want to spend too much or overpay on your upgrades. Also, inventory gives buyers choices. Okay, so the more homes that come on the market, the more they can choose between your home or another home. So preparation, the good type of preparation, is really important for you. Also, flexibility sometimes beats perfection. So if we do the things that really matter, and then, if they have a qualm about a furnace or something else, sometimes a credit will be a better fit and will save you money on actually, replacing something that's not going to give you value back beforehand, proactively. But over renovating removes negotiation tools, and it kind of puts you in handcuffs sometimes. So pricing and condition matter more than upgrades right now. In today's Denver market, sellers win by being flexible, not flashy. Buyers are payment driven and have other options that they can choose from. So over renovating removes leverage and locks you into one strategy. And you're kind of looking for a diamond in the rough at that point. So pricing correctly based on the neighborhood comps, keeping condition clean, and leaving room to negotiate gives you more control, not less. That's how you protect your net gain instead of chasing appearances. The goal isn't to create the nicest house in the neighborhood. The goal is to create a good deal that works for most buyers and the strongest net price for you. If you're thinking about selling in Denver and wondering what's actually worth fixing, reach out before you spend $1, and I'll help you avoid the upgrades that don't pay you back. And if you want to understand why timing matters just as much as preparation, watch my next video. Denver homes are disappearing fast. I'll break down where the listings are going, what's really happening with inventory right now, and how sellers can use this window to their advantage. I'll see you there.